It didn't start with a highlight. It didn't start with a game-winning shot. It started with a sentence that hit harder than any dunk. Kevin Garnett sat there, calm, controlled, almost too relaxed for what he was about to say. No shouting, no dramatic build-up, just a quiet tone that carried weight. The kind of tone that makes people lean in without realizing it. And then he said it. In the biggest moments, when everything is on the line, he sees someone who is mentally gone. No name at first, no direct call-out, but everyone in that room knew exactly who he was talking about. LeBron James, not a role player, not a young prospect, not some guy fighting for minutes. LeBron, one of the most decorated players the game has ever seen. A player whose name lives in every GOAT conversation. A career built on dominance, longevity, and moments that defined entire eras of basketball. And yet, in one sentence, KG didn't question his stats. He didn't question his talent. He didn't question his achievements. He questioned something far more dangerous. His mindset when it matters most. And here's what made it even crazier. This didn't explode right away. There was no instant media storm. No trending headlines flooding every platform within minutes. No viral debates breaking the internet overnight. It just sat there, quietly spreading, like a crack forming beneath the surface. Because this wasn't coming from a hot-take analyst. This wasn't a former player chasing relevance. This was Kevin Garnett, a man who built his entire identity on intensity, on pressure, on living inside the exact moments he was now criticizing. A player who didn't just play the game, he attacked it. Mentally, emotionally, physically. So when someone like that speaks, people listen differently, and the moment people really started hearing what he said, the conversation shifted fast, because this wasn't about numbers. LeBron's numbers are untouchable. This wasn't about championships. LeBron has already proven he can win at the highest level. This wasn't even about skill. There's never been a question about that. This was about something you can't measure. Something that doesn't show up in a box score. Something that only reveals itself in the final minutes. When the pressure is suffocating. When the crowd is loud. When every possession feels like it decides everything. That space where legends are separated from everyone else. And KG was pointing directly at that space. Not screaming. Not arguing. Just stating it like a fact. And that's what made it uncomfortable. Because if this came from anyone else, it would have been easy to dismiss, easy to ignore, easy to brush off as another opinion in a world full of noise. But this didn't feel like noise, felt like a challenge, a question that didn't need proof to exist. It just needed moments that made people think twice. And suddenly, people started remembering things. Not the highlights, not the iconic plays, but the moments that didn't feel right. The possessions where the ball moved instead of attacked. The plays where control looked like hesitation. The seconds where something felt off. Moments that never defined LeBron's career, but also never fully disappeared from the conversation. And now, those moments had a spotlight. Not because of stats. Not because of media narratives. Because a Hall of Famer just pointed at them and said, "That matters." And here's where everything shifted. Because in today's game, narratives don't just stay opinions. They become lenses. From this point forward, every late-game situation, every clutch possession, every decision LeBron makes isn't just about winning or losing anymore. It's about interpretation. Is he taking over or stepping back? Is he controlling the moment or avoiding it? Is he proving something or confirming something? That's the new reality. And it's not fair. But it's real, because once a statement like that enters the conversation, it doesn't leave. It attaches itself to every future moment, every big shot, every missed opportunity, every pass, every hesitation. And the craziest part? LeBron didn't say a word. No response, no denial, no interview addressing it. Nothing, just silence. And that silence didn't calm anything down. It made everything louder, because now the story isn't just what KG said. It's why LeBron hasn't said anything back. Is it confidence? Is it strategy? Or did that comment land somewhere deeper than expected? Because when a player of KG's level says something like that, people expect pushback. They expect fire. They expect something. Instead, they got nothing. And now the entire basketball world is leaning in, waiting for the next moment, the next game, the next clutch situation. Not just to see what LeBron does, but to see what it means. Because now every second counts a little more. Every decision carries a little more weight. And every moment feels like it's answering a question that never existed before. But now, can't be ignored. So the real question isn't what KG said. That's already out there. The real question is, what happens next? When LeBron steps into another moment where everything is on the line. Before you even start arguing with what Kevin Garnett said, you have to understand who he is, because this isn't just another former player throwing out an opinion. This is someone who lived inside pressure. Not occasionally. Not when the cameras were on. Every single possession. KG didn't play basketball the way most players do. He didn't treat games like performances. He treated them like battles. From the opening tip to the final whistle, there was no switch to turn off, no safe mode to fall back on. He was always on edge, always locked in, always looking for weakness. And if he found it, he attacked it without hesitation. Teammates have said practices with him felt harder than actual games. Not because of skill level, but because of intensity. Because KG didn't care if it was a playoff game or a random drill in an empty gym. To him, it was all the same. Pressure was the environment, and he thrived in it. But what really separated him wasn't just effort or energy. It was how he used the mental side of the game. KG didn't just want to beat you physically. He wanted you to break before the game even ended. There are stories, real ones, about how he would talk to opponents during games. Not random trash talk. Not just noise. Targeted. Personal. Precise. He would find something, anything that could throw you off, and then keep pushing it until your focus cracked. And it worked. Players have admitted it. Moments where they lost rhythm. Moments where their mind drifted. Moments where they stopped playing their game. That wasn't accidental. That was strategy. Because KG understood something most players don't fully grasp. At the highest level, everyone is skilled. Everyone is talented. Everyone can perform. So the real separation doesn't come from ability. It comes from control. Control over your emotions. Control over your decisions. Control over the moment when everything starts speeding up and slowing down at the same time. That's where games are decided. That's where legacies are shaped. And KG lived in that space. There was no hesitation in his game when it mattered most. No waiting to see how things played out. If the moment demanded aggression, he brought it. If it demanded presence, he showed it. And if it demanded leadership, he took it. Even when it was uncomfortable. Even when it meant being the villain. Because for KG, being liked was never the goal. Winning was. And more importantly, dominating mentally was. That's why his perspective carries weight. Not because he was perfect. Not because he won every game. But because he understood what those moments demand. He's been in elimination games where one mistake ends everything. He's been in arenas where the noise is deafening and the pressure is suffocating. He's been in situations where your body is exhausted, your legs are gone, and your mind is the only thing keeping you in the fight. That's where KG built his reputation. That's where he earned his respect. So when someone like that starts talking about mindset, it's not casual. It's not random. It's coming from experience that most players never reach. And here's the part that makes this even more important. KG has never been afraid to say uncomfortable things. Over the years, he's called out players who disappeared in big moments. He's questioned effort. He's questioned mentality. He's pointed out differences between players who demand the spotlight and those who avoid it. But this situation feels different because of who he aimed it at. LeBron James isn't just another player. He's one of the most protected legacies in the sport. Not because people are scared to criticize him, but because there hasn't been much to criticize. His career is too complete, too consistent, too dominant across too many years. Most former players, they stay quiet when it comes to him. They respect the resume. They respect the longevity. They respect the pressure he's handled for decades. They don't cross that line. But KG did. And he didn't hesitate. He didn't soften it. He didn't wrap it in compliments to make it easier to accept. He said it directly, like someone who has no interest in protecting narratives, only exposing what he believes is real. And that's what changes everything. Because now, this isn't just a debate between fans. This isn't social media noise. This is coming from someone who understands exactly what those moments feel like, questioning whether another all-time great meets that same standard mentally. That's not light criticism. That's a serious claim. And once a claim like that is made by someone with that level of credibility, it forces people to look closer, to rewatch moments, to rethink assumptions, to question things they previously accepted without hesitation. Because now it's not just about what LeBron has done. It's about how he's done it, when it mattered most. And that shift is where the real tension begins. Because once you start looking at greatness through that lens, you don't just see highlights anymore. You start seeing decisions. And decisions tell a very different story. So now the conversation isn't just about LeBron's legacy. It's about whether there's something inside those biggest moments that even his greatness hasn't fully answered. KG's accusation became dangerous because it wasn't built around one missed shot. It wasn't about one bad game. It wasn't even about one playoff series. It was about a pattern people could feel before they could fully explain. That's why the wording hit so hard. Mentally gone. Not washed. Not overrated. Not incapable. Mentally gone. That phrase attacked a part of LeBron's legacy that statistics can't defend by themselves. Numbers can tell you how many points he scored, how many assists he made, how many records he broke. But numbers do not always tell you whether a player wanted the moment. They do not always show whether he imposed his will or managed the risk. They do not always reveal the difference between making the correct basketball play and making the play everyone can feel the game begging you to make. And that was the line KG was drawing. He wasn't saying LeBron cannot play. That would be ridiculous. He wasn't saying LeBron is not great. No serious basketball person can say that. KG was saying that in certain moments, when the emotional temperature rises and the game becomes psychological, LeBron sometimes looks like he is calculating instead of hunting. And for a player with LeBron's power, vision, size, and control, that accusation cuts deep. LeBron has built his greatness on reading the floor, seeing everything, making the right pass, finding the weak side shooter, punishing the defense for overreacting. For most of his career, that has been his genius. But KG took that same strength and turned it into a question. When the season is on the line, is the right play always the right answer? Or are there moments where greatness demands something less safe? That is where the debate started getting uncomfortable. LeBron supporters can point to playoff runs, finals performances, iconic comebacks, and moments where he looked like the strongest player on the planet. And they would be right. But KG was not debating the full resume. He was isolating a specific emotional zone. The last minutes, the tight possessions, the moments where the defense is waiting, the crowd is reacting, the media is preparing the headline, and the entire game feels like a test of nerve. In those moments, KG was asking one thing. Does LeBron always attack the moment like it belongs to him? That question is dangerous because fans do not answer it with spreadsheets. They answer it with memory. They remember the pass. They remember the hesitation. They remember the possession where he looked in control but not aggressive. They remember the moment where he seemed to trust the system instead of bending the game with force. And once people start remembering like that, the argument becomes impossible to contain. LeBron fans have the legendary performances. Critics have the moments that felt too passive. And KG's comment sits right in the middle. But the most damaging part of KG's breakdown was not the insult. It was the explanation. He framed mental weakness as something that can hide inside smart basketball. That matters, because most criticism is easy to reject when it sounds exaggerated. But this one was clever. It didn't accuse LeBron of failing openly. It accused him of choosing safety while still looking productive. That is harder to fight. A player can finish with strong numbers and still leave people wondering why he did not press harder. He can make a clean pass and still leave people asking why he did not force the issue. He can avoid a bad shot and still create a bigger question. Was that discipline, or was that avoidance? That is the kind of debate that never dies because both answers can sound true depending on how badly you want to believe them. And that is exactly why KG's words spread. They gave language to something some fans had already felt but struggled to say clearly. It was not, LeBron is bad. It was not, LeBron has no clutch moments. It was sharper than that. It was, when the moment demands violence, does LeBron sometimes choose control? And in basketball legacy debates, that distinction is everything. Legends are judged by the emotional memory they leave behind. Did they scare the opponent? Did they own the final minutes? Or did the moment feel shared, managed, distributed? But KG's criticism turns that mind into a courtroom. Every decision becomes evidence. Every pass becomes a question. Every late-game possession becomes part of the case. And the scary part for LeBron is that this case does not need a verdict today. It only needs to stay open. Once people start watching a player not just for what he does, but for what his choices reveal about him, the pressure changes. The game becomes secondary. The narrative becomes the opponent. And that is why KG's accusation landed so heavily. He didn't just criticize LeBron's play. He challenged the meaning behind LeBron's decisions. And once that happens, every clutch moment becomes more than basketball. It becomes testimony. Phase 4. If KG's words were the spark, LeBron's silence was the fuel. Because in the NBA, especially at this level, silence is never empty. It means something, and the longer it lasts, the louder it gets. At first, people brushed it off. LeBron has dealt with criticism his entire career. From high school hype to championship pressure, from media scrutiny to constant comparisons, he's seen it all. So staying quiet, that wasn't new. It looked like control. It looked like experience. It looked like someone who knew better than to give oxygen to a headline. But this time, something felt different. Because this wasn't coming from outside noise. This wasn't a talk show debate. This wasn't a random former player looking for attention. This was Kevin Garnett, peer, a champion, a player who lived inside the same pressure LeBron has carried for decades. And when someone like that speaks directly about your mentality, people expect something back. Not a full interview, not a long explanation, just something, a sentence, a reaction, a denial, anything that shows the message didn't land. But instead, there was nothing, no clip, no quote, no subtle jab in a post-game interview, no response through media, no reaction online, just silence. And that silence didn't calm the situation, changed it, because now the conversation wasn't just about what KG said. It became about why LeBron didn't respond. Was it confidence? The idea that he doesn't need to prove anything anymore? Was it strategy? Let the noise fade instead of feeding it? Or did that comment hit a place that wasn't easy to answer? That's where things started shifting. Behind the scenes, the tone changed first. Former players who would normally shut down criticism instantly started choosing their words more carefully. Analysts who usually defend LeBron without hesitation stopped giving absolute answers. The energy moved from rejection to hesitation, because when someone like KG makes a statement that's specific, people don't just argue against it. They think about it, and thinking leads to doubt. Even if it's small, even if it's temporary, it's enough. And once doubt enters the conversation, it spreads. Slowly at first, quietly, then all at once. Clips started resurfacing. Late-game possessions, playoff moments, situations where LeBron made the correct basketball play, but not the dominant one. And now those clips weren't being watched the same way. Before, they were seen as smart decisions. Now, they were being questioned, reframed, reinterpreted. And that's the danger of silence. Because when you don't respond, you don't control the narrative anymore. Everyone else does. And in today's game, that narrative moves fast. A single possession can go viral in minutes. A A single decision can be replayed thousands of times. And every replay adds another layer to the story. So now, instead of shutting the conversation down, LeBron's silence gave it space. Room to grow. Room to evolve. Room to become something bigger than one comment. And that's when the pressure changed. Because this is no longer just about legacy. It's about perception in real time. Every time LeBron steps on the court now, there's a second layer to everything. The game itself, and what the game is saying about him. When he passes, people don't just see the assist. They see the decision. When he shoots, people don't just see the attempt. They see the intent. When he hesitates, even for a split second, it doesn't go unnoticed anymore. And that's the weight of what KG started. It forced the audience to watch differently, to question differently, to expect something more specific than just winning. Because now it's not enough to make the right play. It has to look like the right play. It has to feel like control, like authority, like ownership of the moment. And if it doesn't, the narrative grows stronger. That's what makes this situation so uncomfortable. LeBron has answered criticism before. He's had games where he completely took over, moments where he erased doubt with performance. But this isn't just criticism. It's a lens, a perspective that sticks to every future moment. And the only way to break that is not through words, not through interviews, not through silence. It's through moments that leave no room for interpretation. Because until that happens, every game, every possession, every decision keeps the question alive. And right now, that question is getting louder with every second LeBron stays quiet. The uncomfortable part is that both sides have evidence. That's why this debate won't die quickly. If someone wants to defend LeBron, they don't have to work hard. The resume is right there. The championships, the finals runs, the records, the impossible longevity, the years where he carried teams that had no business being that close to a title. You can't erase that. You can't pretend it didn't happen. You can't look at his career and act like he spent 2 decades hiding from pressure. That would be dishonest. LeBron has delivered too much for too long on too many stages against too many different eras of basketball. He has played under a spotlight most athletes would never survive. From the moment he entered the league, every mistake became a headline. Every loss became a debate. Every decision became part of a larger argument about who he was supposed to be. And somehow, he still built one of the greatest careers the sport has ever seen. That matters. But KG's criticism survives because it doesn't attack the whole career. It attacks the feeling of certain moments. And feelings are dangerous in legacy debates. Because fans don't only remember numbers. They remember posture. They remember body language. They remember whether a player looked like he wanted to bury the opponent or simply make the cleanest basketball decision. That's where LeBron becomes complicated. His greatest strength has always been his basketball brain. He sees the floor like a system. He reads defenses before they fully form. He understands angles, timing, spacing, and pressure better than almost anyone who has ever played. That mind made him historic. But in this debate, that same mind becomes the question. Because when the final minutes arrive, some fans don't want calculation. They want conquest. They want the superstar to grab the game by the throat and remove all doubt. They want the moment to feel personal. They want aggression that says, nobody else is deciding this. And with LeBron, there have been times where the play was smart, but the emotion felt incomplete. That is exactly the gap KG's words exposed. Not failure, not weakness in the simple sense. A gap between what LeBron's decision-making says and what people emotionally expect from an all-time great in the loudest moments. That's why this accusation is so difficult to defeat. Because LeBron can make the correct play and still lose the emotional argument. He can pass to an open shooter, and basketball purists will call it the right decision. But if that shooter misses, critics will say he avoided the moment. He can control the tempo, and his supporters will call it maturity. But if the game slips away, critics will call it passivity. He can trust the system, and coaches may respect it. But fans watching from home may see a superstar refusing to force the issue. That is the trap. And once KG framed the debate this way, LeBron's greatness became harder to defend with numbers alone. Because this is not a normal argument anymore. This is not about whether he is great. He is. This is about what kind of greatness people feel from him when pressure peaks. And that is a much more personal conversation. Some legends are remembered as killers. Some are remembered as winners. Some are remembered as geniuses. LeBron has always been all three in different ways. But KG's criticism targets the one label fans argue about most. Killer. That word matters in basketball culture, even when people pretend it doesn't. It is not always fair. It is not always logical. But it shapes perception. It separates the player who made the best read from the player who made everyone in the building feel helpless. And for LeBron, that has always been the tension. He can dominate a game without looking desperate. He can control everything without looking violent. He can produce greatness without always giving people the emotional image they want. And now, late in his career, that image matters more than ever. Because there is less time left to change it. That is why KG's comment landed at the worst possible stage. If this had happened 10 years earlier, LeBron could have buried it under more seasons, more playoff runs, more signature performances. But now, every remaining moment feels heavier. Every close game feels like evidence. Every decision gets dragged into the same argument. And the margin is brutal. If he attacks and succeeds, people say he answered KG. If he attacks and fails, they say age has finally caught him. If he passes and wins, supporters call it genius. If he passes and loses, critics call it proof. There is no clean escape. That's what makes this so dangerous for his legacy. Not because KG can erase what LeBron has done. He can't. Nobody can. But he can change the way people watch what comes next. And sometimes that is enough. Because legacy is not just built in real time. It is edited afterward. Years from now, people won't replay every possession with fairness. They'll replay the moments that fit the story they already believe. And KG may have just handed them a new story to test. A story where LeBron's greatness is not questioned, but his final pressure instinct is. And once that question attaches itself to a career this big, it becomes almost impossible to remove. Because now, the next defining moment is not just another clutch possession. It is a verdict waiting to happen. This is where everything tightens. Because now, it's no longer about what Kevin Garnett said. It's about what happens next. From this point forward, every late-game situation LeBron steps into carries a different kind of weight. Not the usual pressure of winning or losing. That's always been there. This is something else. This is narrative pressure. The kind that doesn't care about context. The kind that doesn't wait for full games to play out. The kind that zooms in on a single possession and decides what it means before the final buzzer even sounds. The clock winds down. The game is close. LeBron has the ball. That moment used to be simple. Now it's not. Now, every fan, every analyst, every former player is watching with a second question in mind. Not just, what will he do? But, what does this decision say about him? If he drives aggressively and scores, it won't just be 2 points. It will be seen as an answer, a statement, a moment that pushes back against everything KG suggested. But if he hesitates, even slightly, if he pulls the ball out instead of attacking, if he makes the safe pass and the shot doesn't fall, the reaction will be immediate. Clips will spread. Debates will ignite. And suddenly, that one moment becomes proof. That's the reality now. And it's ruthless, because the margin for interpretation is gone. Everything is being filtered through the same lens. And the hardest part? It's not entirely fair. Basketball has always been a team game. The right play is often the pass. Trusting teammates is part of winning. Not every moment demands isolation. Not every possession needs a hero shot. But that logic doesn't always survive in legacy debates. Because legacy isn't just built on correctness. It's built on feeling. On moments that look undeniable. On plays that leave no room for debate. And right now, LeBron is caught between those two worlds. The player who makes the right decision. And the player people want to see take control. That tension has always existed. But now it's magnified, because KG didn't just criticize him. He planted a lens that people can't unsee. And once fans start watching through that lens, it changes everything. A hesitation becomes a headline. A pass becomes a question. A miss becomes a narrative. That's the kind of pressure that doesn't show up in stats. It doesn't get recorded, but it shapes how a career is remembered. And this is where LeBron's situation becomes unique. He doesn't need more championships to prove greatness. He doesn't need more records. He doesn't need more all-star appearances. All of that is already locked in. This isn't about building a legacy anymore. It's about protecting it. Because when a question like this enters the conversation this late, it sticks differently. There's no wait until next season to bury it. No long runway to rewrite the story. Every remaining moment matters more. Every game becomes a chance to either strengthen the narrative or break it. And the only way to break it is with moments that feel undeniable. Moments where there is no debate, no second guessing, no split reaction, just control, just dominance, just a clear answer. Because that's the only thing strong enough to silence something like this. Not interviews, not statements, not silence. Moments. That's it. And the crazy part is, we're all going to witness it in real time. Every possession, every decision, every reaction. Because now the question is locked in. Was KG right? Or did he just challenge the wrong player at the wrong time? That answer isn't coming from a debate show. It's coming from the next clutch moment LeBron faces. And the one after that. And the one after that. Until eventually, there's no more room left for interpretation. So now it comes down to you. When you watch those moments, what do you see? A player making the smartest decision on the floor, or a player holding back when the moment demands more? Drop your opinion in the comments, because this debate isn't going anywhere. And if you want more high-level basketball breakdowns, real stories, and deep dives into the moments that define legends, subscribe to HOOPRADAR right now. This is where the game gets explained differently. And trust me, the next story is going to hit even harder.